Good morning, everybody. We are live here from the Birdhouse, and here in Rochester in Western New York, we are in a winter wonderland. There's definitely lots of snow falling, and so you might start to see more activity at your bird feeders as the birds are hungry and they are trying to find some resources. If when there is that snow cover, it's harder for them to find the things they may have cached away. So you might start seeing more birds at your feeders. And we always love to know what kind of things you're seeing. You can put those in the comments. If you have any questions, you can throw those in there too, or you can just say hi. And we've got a little update for you about some of the different birds in the area. We've talked about the eruptive birds coming in, and so far there hasn't been a ton of evening grosbeaks locally, but have been hearing reports of some birds up north on the move going down south. So don't count it out yet if you're looking for evening grosbeak this year. The season is still early and we will keep you informed. I should say that another eruptive bird has appeared. Last week, people were seeing some snowy owl around Braddock Bay area. So we're keeping an eye out on that as well to see what the snowy owl activity will be like. Usually they're pretty, you can see them pretty reliably in the wintertime around the Finger Lakes Airport. So we're keeping an eye out for that. And then the short-eared owls are also coming back to the area. And if you are local, there is a short-eared owl field trip this Saturday with the Rochester Birding Association. So you can check that out on rochesterbirding.org if you're interested in seeing some short-eared owl. That is in the late afternoon, I believe it starts, and it goes out to Avon. So that's a totally free trip. You don't have to be a member of the organization. So check out rochesterbirding.org if you are interested in going out and seeing some of these birds. That's going to be your best bet. Those are really, really good birders. They have so many field trips a year. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend them. But this bird right here, the pine grosbeak, has been making some appearances in Webster Park. So far, this has been our best, I would say, eruptive finch, our most reliable eruptive finch that has been making appearances. So this is the pine grosbeak. So people have been having good luck seeing these in the wild, out in the parks, but not so much at feeders. Another bird that had been reported is Bohemian waxwings. So if you come across a group of cedar waxwings, take a close look. If you see a nice big flock of the cedar waxwings, you might have a Bohemian waxwing mixed in there. They're going to be larger. They're more of an overall gray color than the cedar waxwing. And there have been some of them reported as well. So sometimes you can find a couple of the Bohemians mixed in with a nice big flock of the cedar waxwings. So, and then if you're by the water, there are birds that you can see by the water. Common loon. People are reporting some common loon hanging out in the area. The double-crested cormorant, they'll be here all winter long, not in the big numbers that we necessarily see during migration and in the summer, but definitely been seeing some double-crested cormorants around. And then I think the most beautiful duck that we have that comes down here for the wintertime is the long-tailed duck. And they can form huge, huge rafts of hundreds or thousands of ducks along the lakeshore. So if you're looking for the long-tailed duck, definitely check out really anywhere along Lake Ontario or even Irondequoit Bay is a great place for the long-tailed duck. You might also see things like, this is called a redhead. It's a bird, the males have that red head and that blue bill that is tipped in black. And then the scoters, there'll be scoters out here all winter long, things like white-winged scoters. So if you're going out on any of those piers also along the lakeshore to look for the snowy owls, keep in mind that when snowy owls migrate through, they stop at usually the first sign of land that they can find. And sometimes those are the piers, where there's the lighthouse. They will stop there to rest and relax and refuel. So that's why they're so often seen on the piers like that, is because it's one of the first places that they can stop their flight and hunker down for a little bit. So if you're kind of going out there on those piers, look for the long-tailed duck, look for the white-winged scoter. They're definitely out there, the double-crested cormorants. So you can find a nice mix of waterfowl out there this time of the year too. Also things like scaup. There are two different types we have called greater scalp and lesser scalp. On the top, that picture is the greater scalp. The color isn't really what you want to look at. It's the head, the size of the head. The greater scalp has a more rounded, larger head than the lesser scalp. The lesser scalp has kind of a more slim style head. So both of them you can find out here too. And the red-breasted merganser, which this is the male right here. And they have such a funky plumage pattern on their head. They're really hard to mistake. So the red-breasted merganser does have kind of a reddish patterning on his breast. And then they also have that bright red eye. So that's a good distinguishing characteristic. The female will have that too. There's also the common merganser. Common merganser, the male looks very different than the red-breasted merganser. So the red-breasted merganser kind of looks like it just woke up and it's got crazy bedhead going on with its feathers on its head. The common merganser has a more smooth kind of plumage pattern on its head. The females have more of a funky plumage pattern. That's the female there with that orangish, brownish plumage on the top of its head. But both the male and female common merganser will have a black eye and not a bright red eye like the red-breasted merganser does. So they are also out there. And then one of my favorites, the hooded merganser, which is going to be smaller than the common merganser and the red-breasted merganser. But the male, when its feathers are ruffled up, has this beautiful little, almost looks like a sail on the back of its head. Really, really, really cool plumage on the hooded merganser. So that's the male on the left, the female on the right. But you can see they both have that same kind of shape of their head when their plumage is up. So hooded merganser are out there too. Also, we're hearing a good amount of reports of what's called Merlin. So this is a little falcon. It's a little bit kind of stockier than the American kestrel, but it's definitely smaller than the peregrine falcon. So they have been spotted out by the water. They've been spotted in people's yards and neighborhoods. So it's a very small falcon. Doesn't look quite like your Cooper's hawk or sharp-shinned hawk. Looks quite a bit different. But it is a small little falcon with those pointed wings when it's in flight. And they've been pretty common in the winter here. So keep an eye out for them too. If you're going past any fields, look for flocks of snow bunting. Snow bunting are coming back to the area, especially if you're taking a drive down in the Finger Lakes where there's lots of open space. I come across quite a few flocks of snow bunting that way. So keep an eye out for a whole bunch of snow bunting. And then at your feeders, things like red-breasted nuthatch are definitely back in the area. In your backyards, look for brown creeper. That's this little brown bird here that will creep up the sides of trees. They can blend in really, really well. So they can be hard to spot, but if you see something little and brown just kind of crawling up the tree, it's probably a brown creeper. And then some other things to be on the lookout at your feeders. I haven't seen one yet this year, but my haiku box picked one of these guys up yesterday. This is the American tree sparrow. And the American tree sparrow comes back here in the wintertime. So in the spring and summer, we tend to have chipping sparrows. Not everybody gets them at their feeders, but they are in the area. They have that chestnut cap. They have a black line that goes through their eye, and they're smaller than the tree sparrows, but they go to further down south for the winter. And these American tree sparrows come down here south for the winter. So this is south for the tree sparrow. And they do have that little chestnut cap with a little chestnut streak that goes through their eye. And they have the bicolored bill. So the top is black and the bottom is yellow. So these will sometimes show up in people's backyards underneath their feeders. And so be on the lookout for the tree sparrows. And then some other sparrows that people are reporting are things like white-throated sparrow. And then if you have any kind of birdseed out in your backyard, don't be surprised when you see the dark-eyed juncos. They are a very reliable winter visitor. We have them all season long. They've got that cute little pink bill, white belly, and they're an overall grayish bird. So we've got them here. And then if you've got your Niger feeders out Pine siskins are making appearances. Here's one at a black oil sunflower seed feeder, but they definitely also love the Niger seed. So people are reporting the pine siskin, and there have been still scattered reports of red poles with them still on the move too. So keep an eye out for the red poles at your Niger feeder. You can see they've got that kind of raspberry colored wash on their breasts. They've got a little red, kind of like a raspberry red dot on the top of their head. And they love the Niger feeders. So if they are around, they will most likely come to your feeders. And when I was talking about waterfowl and things like snow buntings that can be kind of far out in the distance, consider if you are getting into bird watching and you want to kind of see more species. Sometimes you do have to upgrade your optics from binoculars to something larger like a scope. We do carry spotting scopes here at the store. My favorite personally is one from Vortex called the Razor Scope. It's only $900 and it's a nice big 85 millimeter lens. I use that one. I do digiscoping through it, and the quality of it for the price is awesome. If you're looking to upgrade your optics or to even start, we have all that stuff here too, and we can absolutely help you pick out the right thing for you. And I should also mention that right now Nikon has some really great specials on binoculars going on. So you can take advantage of those both here at the store, or you can shop online on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. We have all those binocular specials on our website too. And if you're local to Rochester, it's Monroe County, we even deliver it for free. So we've got that going on here too. So that is everything I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast, and hopefully we'll have some more migrants and some more winter birds to report coming back into the area by then. Until then, if you are in the Rochester area, drive safe, and make sure you've got your snow brushes all ready and your shovels all ready, because it is a nice snowy day here. So everybody take care. We'll see you on Saturday, and have a great week. Bye-bye.